1% useful it is. Use it.
I don't think it'd be a
Mushiki, for
retcon. I think
example.
I think it's just generally how it should be anyways. Like the Rinnegan sometimes have Tomoe, sometimes it doesn't. That doesn't mean the Rinnegan doesn't give the enhanced vision. I think the Sharingan, regardless if it's like actively tracking or not, it could just be a normal or just enhanced or whatever. Similarly,
No, it's clearly implied they have to activate the Sharingan and Byakugan.
I'm not even gonna count Boruto, who has normal eyes, and Sharingan because he's Byakugan because he's special. But Himawari is the direct contradiction of that. That shows there's a difference between normal eye, normal Byakugan, and veined Byakugan, which the Byakugan doesn't really even change when they do the veins. It's probably just pumping more chakra into the Byakugan.
When do we see Himawari with the Byakugan without the veins?
My point is that she has normal eyes.
Yeah, when she activates the Byakugan, the veins are there, though. It just cuts to that.
That doesn't matter. There's 3 different types of eyes.
I don't think I understand what you're saying, but I don't think I think the unactivated Byakugan eyes are just normal eyes that look that way.
Why do they look that way then? Considering Himawari doesn't have them.
Because the honest answer, that was Kishimoto's original design plan, and then because Himawari he forgot to draw with the Byakugan, they created a new thing.
Yes, it's a retcon, but I'm talking about now, not what has always been. So retrospectively,
now that just is the Hyuga. That's the standard Hyuga eye.
Yeah, so retroactively,
with or without a Byakugan.
Because I think it looks like that because they're pumping chakra into it, and the veins is them just pumping more chakra into it.
I don't think so, because they don't have any feats with just the regular eyes activated. They don't discuss the idea, the Sharingan, the same way. The Rinnegan's different because it's always activated in the users we see with it. So, of course, it's always going to have some benefit. It's always activated.
Well, we know the Sharingan isn't the eye itself.
Don't do that.
It's the Uchiha.
No, it's the Sharingan eye.
No,
too.
It's definitely the Uchiha.
And the Sharingan eye.
No, if an Uchiha took someone normal eye, they could just use the Sharingan. Likewise, if Kakashi took base Obito's eye, then he never has access to the Sharingan.
Well, it depends on context, but either way, the Sharingan does matter because you still have to activate the Sharingan eye to get the benefits. Okay. As we see. Otherwise, they would just... like Sasuke, for example, Itachi would just not activate the Mangekyo Sharingan to keep himself from going blind. Or Sasuke wouldn't need to learn how to activate the Sharingan against Haku because he would just already be seeing Sharingan benefits.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't he wouldn't say, oh, I can see it now that my eye is the Sharingan. He would say, wow, I see exactly the same as before.
No, he's pumping more and more chakra into his eye until it turns into Sharingan. He's saying, I can see more and more until he activates the Sharingan. He's saying it before he activates it still.
No, he doesn't. He does not say before activating the Sharingan.
Yeah,
unless you mean like just him tracking in general.
Yeah, he's tracking Haku better because he can see better.
That's not implied that's because of the Sharingan. That's just implied he's just starting to understand what Haku's doing, which you can do in real life.
I don't think so because they emphasize the Sharingan so much immediately going into that.
I don't think
Naruto's not tracking him better and better.
Naruto's not trying to track him in the first place, but regardless, I'll just say for the sake of the conversation, let's just assume that's true. Then I think it was retconned immediately afterwards.
Well, no, I agree, it was retconned.
Because it's never implied that they're getting these benefits in base.
You say that, but okay, it's never implied, but they just are. So every time we see them in base, they're getting the benefit.
Because
Neji
someone would have...
beating up Naruto could be because he had the base Sharingan. Anytime we see them with the base Sharingan doing anything is a feat.
Have a base Sharingan.
It is a feat. It's just not a called out feat. We just know it now.
What scene are you referring to? First of all, Neji, I assume you meant Byakugan, not Sharingan. And second of all,
yes, I meant Byakugan.
What scene with Neji you're referring to where he's not using the Byakugan? I don't need a specific scene.
It's just any scene where any Byakugan user isn't using their Byakugan, but is doing a feat. That would be a feat with their base Byakugan.
Great. They don't have those. They always activate their Byakugan before they do anything.
That's not true. That's an
no, it is true.
Comment.
They always because the whole point is for them to use the Byakugan to see where they're doing the gentle fist. So, I mean,
the gentle fist.
Byakugan is the worst one to use for this. The Byakugan is the worst one to use for this. If anything, you should use the Sharingan.
So, Colin, I'm not going to find something. This is you saying that there's not a single scene anywhere within the Naruto franchise where a Byakugan user is doing any feat without the Byakugan activated. Do you want to stand by those words?
Define any feat. Define any feat.
Any actionable move as a shinobi.
Bro, you see, that's dumb though, because I'm not going to say the tree jumping thing is because of the Byakugan.
Well, they can do it better because of the Byakugan.
What? Neji's not moving better than anyone else.
He's saving his chakra efficiency. Neji's a genius, so I argue he is actually doing it better than Naruto, for example.
Not because of the Byakugan, that's for sure. Anyway.
Well, I think
I would like there to be a thing in Boruto for at least the Satsuki Byakugan in their base form having benefits. Still, and then at this point, this is what I would like. Because they've already done what they've done. I would like there to be some benefits, just at all times. And then there's some sort of chakra cost to doing the veins. And Momoshiki is actively choosing to do the lesser one in favor of doing like Rasenkans and stuff. I would like there to be that specific explanation. Will they ever do it? Absolutely not. It will never happen. And they will never address it, period. I'm confident in that. But I want them to do that.
Well, not only do we know that the Rinnegan basically just is condensed pure a ton amount of chakra itself. It's just a chakra eye. So the eye itself contains chakra, which tells me other dojutsus are likely similar, just not as much, which would apply to the Byakugan. But also that Obito just basically he was losing his mind from just one. He was barely sane from just having one Rinnegan. That tells you that's a lot. And it applies to the user as well. And then we know that Sasuke has Rinnegan, as well as what we've learned recently from Momoshiki, that he has different colored Rinnegan. I assume because it's different efficiencies of the Rinnegan, he's basically turning it on and off in terms of chakra usage, like a passive versus active Rinnegan, which I finally proved to you after like 6 years of you telling me otherwise. I think.
Well, I haven't even known you for 6 years, and we never discussed this previously.
We discussed this like 20 times.
No, we didn't.
Absolutely did. But whatever. I think I've made it pretty clear. So what do you think the veins are? Cowboy.
Veins.
Of what? Of blood going into the eye?
I would think blood, but you don't see blood like when Delta gets angry. It's just white veins. Maybe chakra veins? Maybe it's the veins of the chakra network or something?
No, that's exactly what it is. It's veins of the chakra network. It's not just a random chakra going. It's through the veins. Like, we know there's a chakra network.
What's weird, though, is if your argument is you're funneling in more chakra to, like, the Sharingan eye, shouldn't they have the veins, too, then?
Okay, but no, that's different because we see how they do it. They don't do it through their veins. They do it through their brain, which is connected through the eye socket. What is it? The connective thing from the brain to the eye?
The chakra network has to...
It's the thing Kabuto deactivates. What is it?
He shut off his just his visual eyes in general. He just shut off his sight.
Yeah, it's not the eye itself. It was the connective string from the eye to the brain. Which, again, goes back to the Genjutsu argument. I don't think it's the eyes, it's
specifically.
It's the seeing thing.
Let me see what he says specifically again, real quick. I think he just says, I shut off my eyes with my snake vision. I'm pretty sure that's what he says. I don't think he describes the specific part. Like, I don't think he says, I deactivated my corneas.
No,
or
I
something.
do think it's the optic nerve that he says.
Maybe. Let's see. Okay. Optic nerve. That makes sense for something to look for, though.
Yeah.
I'm just going to check
that's
a bunch of these.
Not necessarily the eye. The eye is more like the lens of a camera rather than the actual operating system. If that makes sense.
So the first thing he says, this is with the Sage R White Extreme Attack. With my snake eyes, I can shut off my sight and block the light. So we need the other one where he's talking to Itachi and it's like, you can't beat me because I've done this and that.
Yeah. And this would make sense because, again, the Uchiha get their Sharingan through their hatred. It's like literally connected to their chakras, strength of their eye of the darkness or whatever. Same with love. Unlike the Byakugan, who isn't described like that, and we see isn't like that through Neji. Whenever he gets angry, it's the same as normal.
Yeah, he just says, at least in the manga version here, I've also shut off my vision, so your much touted ocular genjutsu won't work either. He just says he shut off his vision.
He says optic nerve at some point. But anyways.
I don't know if he says optic nerve in this light.
Maybe anime only.
I'll keep looking. I'll look and see if he says it again during the Izanami stuff. Like, he might say one more time about how he's done this and that, but if it's not there, then...
Even Fabrina, do you know where optic nerve is said in the Naruto series in general? Because I know it's definitely a couple places.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who is the character I'm thinking of talking about the optic nerve right now?
Maybe
Skara.
Yes, it is Skara. That is one. For sure, he connects. Yeah, that is one. But doesn't a character in Boruto get blinded? Not Ishiki, but someone. Because of the optic nerve. Or I might be thinking of the Madara manga, the fan manga.
Maybe I haven't read that.
In Boruto.
The first one that comes to my mind is Gaara with the optic nerve thing, though. Someone else might say something about optic nerve, but I'm trying to think of what it is I'm thinking of, maybe.
I'm pretty sure it's someone having their eye sealed. Maybe like Al says it about his Byakugan.
I don't think... See, the first thing that came to my mind is was Sakon or Ukon talking about the optic nerve at some point. That's like where my mind's headed.
Okay, nervous system at least. But what's up for Rita?
What about Obito and Sasuke?
Obito and Sasuke.
Also the eye transplant from Itachi?
Yeah.
I don't think they mentioned optic nerve, though.
Don't think so either.
Okay.
I mean, they talk about the Amaterasu transfer jutsu, but it's not that.
Yeah. And then Black Setsu says that you can... Madara did the same thing with his Izanagi.
But yeah. At the very least, Kamui, I think there is credence to this idea of the veins being chakra with the Byakugan. I don't think this is just design-wise, considering, like, the Byakugan, the Hyuga in general, are, like, so intertwined plot-wise to the chakra network. Like, that's when we're introduced to it. Similarly,
okay, real quick, I double-checked.
Kabuto
just says, I shut off my vision. Again, he doesn't go any further. So.
Okay, whatever. He says it
Not
in the
Kabuto. Maybe. I don't think so, though, to be honest.
Yeah. At the same time we get the chakra network, you also get, like, Shino with the bugs.
Actually, you know what?
So I feel like it's definitely...
I'll double-check this. What you might be thinking of is maybe Tobirama talking about the Sharingan. That might say the brain connects to the optic nerve or something like that.
Okay.
I'll double-check real quick.
The curse of the Hyuga. No, the Uchiha.
Yeah, that seems like it's the curse of the... Well, the curse of the Hyuga clan is definitely not that, but...
there is definitely a curse of the Hyuga, though.
Yeah, there is. Neji talked all about it, but wasn't this.
Yeah.
I have a question about Ishiki.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's Sukuna Hikona, also his shrinking jutsu. Is it shinjutsu by himself, or is it jutsu from his eye?
Well, it's definitely a dojutsu regardless. The question is the eye a shinjutsu? Because I think the Jogan is.
Oh.
And the Kokugan is like the rival, the opposite, the contrast, whatever. It's like the 180. So I think it's probably a shinjutsu.
Here's the thing. Okay, this is what it makes no sense. So like, okay, let me actually double check what Momoshiki says specifically. Does he say Ada's Senrigan is the Shinjutsu, or does he say this Senrigan's clairvoyance is the Shinjutsu? Because that makes all the difference. Because if he says the Senrigan is a Shinjutsu, then all these Dojutsu are. But if he's saying the clairvoyance is, that's specifically the ability of the eye. Which I think he might say.
He could also just be speaking generally.
Oh, no, what the fuck? I think it's different in different translations. In Viz, it says her Senrigan is a Shinjutsu.
Okay.
I mean, just being frank, Kamui, I wouldn't trust anything from this part of the story anyways. So.
Why?
Even the Rinnegan as well. There's enough to... in the story, real quick, before I forget, Tobirama does mention optic nerves. I'm looking at it right now. So that might have been what you were thinking of. But regardless, so with how especially the Rinnegan, so in Haguramo's case or Madara's case, you recreate something similar to Haguramo's chakra by mixing international chakra. It comes out like Haguramo's basically, and it manifests in the Rinnegan. So that's implying like, well, that chakra funneled into the eyes through magic creates Rinnegan. The case of Sharingan stuff, a unique chakra by Tobirama, a unique chakra gets released inside his or her brain and reacts with the optic nerves and changes appear in that person's eye. Since they can activate and deactivate it, this implies that the chakra is stored in the brain. When they release it, the eye is activated. When they deactivate it, I guess it just goes back in the brain, or if they just run out and it gets deactivated and they have to recharge. So it goes from that case, the brain to the eyes. Rinnegan, however it works, probably similar. Byakugan, they never discuss it. Assuming it's something similar, though, whether it's from the brain or just the regular chakra network, funneling the chakra into the eyes activates it. In the case of the Byakugan, I think that's where the veins come in. When they funnel the Byakugan Hyuga chakra into their eyes through those veins, now the eye is on. So when the veins are gone, I think the eye is off. It's just a normal eye, just like the Uchihas have normal eyes when it's off. In this case, the veins are like the red eye. Essentially, that's the activation appearance cue.
You know, by the Byakugan, also Sharingan has to be activated, but I think it's notable that the Byakugan is always active, and in my book, the veins make it much stronger.
That's how you're looking at it, yeah. That's what Oodie thought too. Yeah. I think I want that to be the case, but if I'm looking at Naruto at least, I don't think that. I think it's just not on. Yeah. Or if it's on, it's 1% and useless.
Yeah, Hinata and Neji always fight with the veins, and Neji against Naruto, always when he makes move, he activates the veins. Although, yeah, it's hard to say.
Assuming it is on to a degree for a moment, if you were to just throw out you too, Oodie, if you were to throw out a hypothetical percent of like how much it's on when the veins aren't there. So like just say you think it's 10% on. Yeah. Maybe instead of 360-degree vision, they have 36-degree vision. Like, what would you say for your number?
So I would first of all say it's a little bit different than that. First of all, I'm pretty sure like the Uchiha in general with their base eye was a little bit different from the normal eye anyways in terms of perception, but that's a different topic. I would say in terms of the Byakugan, it's not necessarily a percentage-wise of they just have all of their abilities, but like muted to an extent. I think it's more of like the more chakra they pump in, the more abilities they're able to access, similar to the Sharingan with the base Sharingan versus like 3 Tomoe versus the Mangekyo. You just gain access to more abilities. Yes, it's technically also stronger, which I think that applies either way. But I think, for example, I think the base Byakugan would be able to like see a little bit better, farther, better wide vision, but I don't think it can like see your chakra network. I think that's an ability you gain when you pump in the chakra and able to do so, if that makes sense.
So to counter my own point from earlier, I will offer, because I don't think you're going to mention this, I will offer one scene which could indicate what you're saying. There is a major problem with it, though, because we don't see Neji's eyes to see if hypothetically he activated the veins. But there's a scene in The Force of Death when Ino's team runs into Neji, and she starts like flailing around or whatever, threatening to kill him with her like sign language, basically. And Neji's looking the other way. And it's just like, did you just threaten to kill me? Does that mean you want to fight or whatever? She don't see Neji. Nothing implies he did activate the Byakugan. If you're taking the series as is, that wouldn't make sense, though. So you could say he did it off screen while we couldn't see him and they didn't want to spoil that. That's also possible. So it is up in the air is the point. He could have activated his eyes right before to see that. Or in base, he can just see directly behind him. But that doesn't make any sense because I doubt you think with the base eyes he can see behind him.
I don't think he has 360-degree vision, no. I do think he has.
That means he had to have activated the eye then.
To an extent, superhuman eyes, but like not like beyond anything too far ridiculous. Like I think all of them have perfect 20/20 vision. I think they can see as clear as it can get, and I think they can like have reaction perception in their eye as well. That's probably how he's able to like counter Lee so easily, not just like reaction or movement speed in general. I think his eye is literally able to just see basically in real time better than otherwise. Also, I do think they can see a little bit further. How I'm imagining it is, imagine we got like, this is a completely new scene, basically fan fiction. Imagine we got a scene of like Hinata trying to help Himawari awaken the Byakugan before Himawari even knows what the Byakugan is. And then we're also just going to remove her like mental rage amp or anything like this, just a normal Himawari in this case. So I can imagine Himawari be like, or Hinata being like, Himawari, look at that tree in the distance. Can you see that leaf floating in the wind off that tree? And she's like trying to like squint her eyes and focus on it more and more. And like as she's putting more effort into it, it becomes a little bit more clear until eventually, like it's something that you couldn't do without the Byakugan, until eventually like the veins like subconsciously like slowly creep across her face as the Byakugan slowly activates. This is also taking a Himawari that has the base Byakugan as well, by the way. Himawari is a bad character for this, but you get the idea.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, you can't do it now at this point, obviously, but I would have just liked that regardless of how the inner mechanics work. If we just saw a scene of Hinata doing that to train Himawari with the Byakugan, where she squints and it slowly like transitions with the veins and her eye changes or something. That's just a cool scene I would have liked.
Like from her imagination, it's not like it's zooming in or anything. It's not like a camera zooming in, but it's almost like a camera changing, I don't know, the IPO to like focus to a longer range distance so you can see things clearer from a long range. Almost like a tunnel vision, similar to like the Sharingan with the Chidori, in a sense. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't know what they would do with it specifically, but either way. So do you want to know something funny?